Theological Pipe.
That whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes!
I'm your huckleberry.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Theological Pipe. We'll call this one Music Pipe. And what we're going to do, I just wanted to do something a little bit different. The idea of Theological Pipe is to discuss anything and everything from a theological perspective. And so when I start talking about what I'm going to talk about today, some of you may say, well, what does this have to do with God? Or what does this have to do with theology? And maybe nothing. It just was a good break. And when I started doing it, it was actually really, really fun. And it was fun to do. And I enjoyed it more than looking at, Biden quotes or Trump quotes or something about the election or something about politics or something about unity or something about division and all the stuff that we're dealing with. So I thought maybe a break would be good. And music is one of those things that I think is healing. It brings peace. It brings joy. It helps you work through things. It brings back good memories. It helps you get through things. Music is a gift. And so if there's going to be a theological point to this podcast today, and I think I'm going to do this over the next few weeks or months, maybe a couple times a week. If there's a theme to it, it's that God created music and music is a blessing and it's a gift. And so what I was going to do, I decided I was going to go and kind of research the top albums of all time. I love music. I love all types of music, all kinds. And so Rolling Stone puts out a list of the top 500 albums. And sometimes the list changes. They do different votes and they vote on it year by year and discuss it. So what I'm going to do today is go over what Rolling Stone has as their number one album of all time. Now, if this wasn't YouTube and if I knew that I could, maybe play a snippet of a track or two or three or all the tracks and go through them and tell you what I liked about them, I would do it. But I know that YouTube is pretty quick on censoring, or not, I shouldn't say censoring, muting and getting a copyright claim on things, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do this fairly quick, and I encourage you, if you've never listened to some of these albums, and some of these albums I've probably heard in the past, and maybe haven't even listened to all the way through, and that's the case with this album, the one that Rolling Stone says, as of now, is the number one album of all time. And when I read that, I was kind of surprised to see that this was the number one album. Not because the artist isn't a great artist and a great singer. He's one of the greatest singers of all time. But when you think about great albums of all time, if you're into rock and roll, if you're into music, Bob Dylan comes to mind. The Beatles obviously come to mind, etc. And I'm not saying he wouldn't be in the top, but Marvin Gaye's album, What's Going On, right now sits atop the Rolling Stone top 500 albums of all time. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and listen to the album, and instead of reading Twitter and looking at politics and looking at culture and getting into theological discussions, not that there's anything wrong with those things, and we're going to continue to do those things, I wanted a break. I needed a break from it. I wanted to heal. I wanted to not start discussing, okay, here's what Biden's done bad already, and here's what Biden's done good, and here's what Trump's doing and saying, and here's why the media is terrible, and all, that'll come another day. I wanted to take a break. And so for about an hour, I sat down, got my Spotify open, put on Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, and just listened from start to finish. And I have some notes about the album and about each song. I'm just going to kind of go through it. And then again, hopefully, if you've not listened to Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album, go listen to it, because it is worthy of its, I don't want to say top billing. I may have a different feeling as I go through these, that I think that this album should be higher, or I think this album should be rated higher than this one. And I'm still not convinced that this is the number one album of all time, but it's incredible. There's no denying that it should be in anyone's top list, especially if you listen to it. And the amazing thing about it to me is it was released in 1971, and everything he talked about was relevant back then. But 50 years later, it's been 50 years since Marvin Gaye released What's Going On, and 50 years later, just about every song is still relevant today, and it's still going to be relevant 50 years from now. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. It's really an incredible album. That you can't deny the undeniable greatness of the album. And the amazing thing is, from start to finish, I never got bored in a song. I never was like, okay, I'll fast forward this through this song. I get the idea, and I do that sometimes when I listen to full CDs or full albums like you used to in the old days. Now people listen to singles, but you really do yourself a service, especially with this album, to listen to it from start to finish. And the cool part about the album is when it starts with the first song, What's Going On, there's just seamless transitions from one song to the next, to the next, to the next, to the very last song. So you really are kind of forced to listen to the whole thing, and it kind of tells a pretty good story. It's sort of a concept album. So the first song on the album is What's Going On. Everyone probably knows that song if you listen to music. The great line in there for me, it's Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. And it's got a message of he's what's going on in the world. There's so many bad things happening, racism and being poor and poverty and taxes, and he covers all of these things. Being he's black, being a black man, the government, all kinds of stuff that he covers. The environment, he covers it all in 1971, and he always comes back to the answer of love. Love is what the answer is. Love can conquer hate. And he's got the line in there too. He says, we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Or and in another verse, he says, we got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Even in the midst of looking at the realities of life, he knows that love is the answer. And so that's just, it's a great song to kick off the album, and everyone knows it. The next song is What's Happening, Brother? And this is sort of a conversation between a singer and a friend, and they're just talking about everyday things. And the line that stuck out to me, he said, when will people start getting together again? And he was just talking about, stop fighting, stop the division, and let's get together again. And for me, it kind of struck a chord because we're still battling COVID, and there's still, we're still wearing masks, and we're still social distancing, and we're still not getting together in big groups. And that's a question. When will we get back together again? I want to get back together again. And it's really hard for myself and for other people I know who are people, who are people persons. We like people. We like to be around other people. And it's been difficult. And so when he asked that question, when he was having the conversation in that song, it just struck me as like, yeah, it's a great question. We need to get back together again. But it's a great song. And again, it kind of segues right into the next song called Flying High in the Friendly Sky. It's about drug addiction. Someone struggling through drug addiction. And again, the line that stood out to me, he said, ain't seen nothing but trouble, baby. Nobody really understands. And I go to the place where good feelings await. Self-destruction's in my hand. Not a happy song. There's really not like a crescendo where there's hope, but he just kind of talks about that. And then again, each song right into the next one. The next song is called Save the Children. It's question after question on who cares, and a warning about the scary times that are ahead. One of the things, it's who is willing to try and save a world that's destined to die. And it's really a spoken word. They speak a line, and then Marvin Gaye sings the line. They speak a line, Marvin Gaye sings a line. It's a really cool song. It's a really cool concept. Probably not my most favorite song on the album. Again, the lyrics on the album are amazing, and that's what makes this album truly, truly amazing to me, is not just the singing, which is top notch, right? Not just the feel of every song, which is incredible. It's the lyrics. It's the songs themselves put this album way up there. You have a great singer, that's great. You have a great song, that's great. You put them together, and that's what you have here. And every song, the lyrics are just, again, spot on. And after Save the Children, there's a song called God is Love. It's one of the more upbeat songs. It's hopeful, very spiritual. And the theme is God is my friend, Jesus is my friend. And one of the great lines, he goes, he loves us whether or not we know it. Just loves us, oh yeah, and he'll forgive all our sins. And all he asks of us is that we give each other love. And so God is love, and we're supposed to love each other. And so in all of this, in him examining life, examining turmoil, examining the struggle, he always comes back to God. He always comes back to love and says we need to give each other love because that's the answer. After God is love, Mercy, Mercy Me. Again, probably one of his more famous songs, Mercy, Mercy Me, things ain't what they're supposed to be. And he says that, and then my question as I'm listening to that is, will they ever be? Will things ever be the way that they're supposed to be? And again, since this is Theological Pipe, the answer is yes when Jesus comes back. In the meantime, we have to struggle. And again, one of the beauties of this album is it talks about the struggles of life. It talks about the ups and downs. It talks about the fight that we face. And in the end, he's saying God's the answer. Love is the answer. So things aren't what they're supposed to be. It's always going to be a struggle until Jesus comes back. And in the meantime, we're going to love because love is the answer. And that's the theme of the next song as well. It's called Right On. Probably in listening to this album from start to finish tonight, my favorite track on the album. Love is the answer. With love, things will be all right. This is up-tempo. It's jazzy-ish. It's 7 minutes long. At the end, it kind of dissolves into like a jazzy number and then kind of funks up at the end and keeps going for 7 minutes. One of the lines, or one of the couple lines, sweet love, wonderful love, true love for your brother, love for God, pure love. Love can conquer hate every time. Give out some love and you'll find peace sublime. Again, this is something that was poetic and prophetic in 1971, and 50 years later, it's still something that the world needs to hear. Give out love and you'll find peace sublime. Love is the answer. I mean, Marvin Gaye knew it in 1971, and it's still the answer today. It's still true today. The next song is called Holy, Holy. Like holy, W-H-O-L-Y, holy, holy, H-O-L-Y. It's a slower, contemplative song, again, about coming together as a people. Jesus left a long time ago, said he would return. He left us a book to believe in. In it, we've got an awful lot to learn. And again, it's just him saying we need to learn how to love each other. We need to learn to live together. And then he ends the album with Inner City Blues, Make Me Want to Holler. It's living hard. It's an anthem about living hard. It's about how life is hard. He goes, hang-ups, letdowns, bad breaks, setbacks. Natural fact is I can't pay my taxes. Oh, make me want to holler and throw my hands up. He's, again, talking about the struggle, talking about how life is, and then the song kind of ends with him repeating a verse from what's going on, the first song, and it kind of fades out after that. And the great part about the album, the great part about the entire thing, again, from start to finish, it's one continuous track, even though you can listen to separate tracks. Each song, again, just transitions right into the next one. And the great part about it is the message, the theme, the idea. Again, relevant in 71, still relevant today. I'm not going to say that this is going to be my number one album of all time. I don't know if I'm going to go through 10 or 20 of the albums and then maybe look at some of the other ones and say what I think my number one would be. But there's no denying the greatness of this album. And I'm happy that I decided to do this because, again, I don't know that I've listened to this album from start to finish, and it's amazing. Again, soulful. It's real. It's honest. But it's hopeful, and I think I kind of like the fact that he's not sugarcoating things. He's real about the struggle. He's real about the issues we're facing. But then lyrically it goes into, but love is the answer. But God is the answer. We need to come together. And again, I don't know, it's probably also because of what we're living in right now and how we've been going through COVID and how we've just gone through a contentious election and we still have some healing to do. This is a great album. Love is the answer. Like I said, it's just an amazing album. It's stark and real and hopeful and optimistic all in one. And the fact that he says and continually comes back to the fact that love and God is the answer for everything that ails us, just makes it, again, puts it way up there for me. I did not realize the lyrical content of this album, how good it was. And Marvin Gaye, again, is one of the greatest singers of all time. So, again, this is our song album pipe, but there's, again, I put some theology in there talking about, or Marvin Gaye put some theology in there talking about how God is the answer and love is the answer, and we've got to love each other. And again, if you've not listened to what's going on, do it, on your way to work, on your way home from work. If you can put on something while you're working, take an hour, take 45 minutes and listen to the album from start to finish, listen to the lyrics. And I think you're going to realize that, even though you may not think this is the number one album of all time, it's definitely up there. And I'm, like I said, just made my night to do this, to just sit there and listen to music. No TV, no other distractions, by myself, listening to What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. I'll say it was a spiritual experience. And again, if you listen to it and you listen to the lyrics, I think you'd probably agree. So there's the number one album, according to Rolling Stone, of all time. That's my quote-unquote quick review. Again, all I'm going to do is listen to it, and as I'm listening to it, take some notes on each song, come in here and let people know about it. Because again, maybe you're listening to, maybe you're struggling, maybe you're having a tough time, maybe there's, you don't know what to do. So take some time and listen to some good albums. And again, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On from 1971, highly recommend it. Just a great album, and was something really cool for me to do. So I think that's something that we could do. Music is healing. It's helpful. It can soothe your soul, and this definitely did that for me. So put that in your theological pipe, for lack of a better word, music pipe, your theological pipe, and smoke it. Be nice, and we'll see you next time.
Well, bye.